Hi, my name's Andrew. I'm not actually originally from Bellwicket, but I'm very good friends with Rowan and Star. Um, I'm actually originally a priest from another coven in your area, um, and I'm going to do a couple of videos on here, um, and just every occasionally and every now and then I'll pop up, so um, I hope you enjoy them. This will be my first YouTube video that I've ever done, so don't be too critical. um, Today I'm going to talk about 3 different issues in paganism. Um, we will talk about wands and staves, um, the 5 elements, and being gay and a pagan. So first I want to show you is my wand. Came with this nice little carrying case. These are very nice, by the way. It keeps your wand clean. And here's my wand. So wands are basically for directing energy. And the different types of wands that you get will vary the type of energy that you're wanting to direct. This wand is made of dogwood or dagwood, lots of different names I've found. But dogwood is originally for relaxation and calming down your emotions and your spirit. Wands can also not only be wooden, but they can also be stone. So I've had one that was made out of amethyst, and then I've had one that was made out of quartz crystal. These do basically the same thing as wooden ones. They're just, directional energy, all that jazz. Wands can also be handmade or bought if you're people like me who don't really have a whole lot of creativity and can't, make a pretty wand or anything. So I actually bought mine online on the store. It cost me about $50, but it was well worth it. Very good wand, and I very recommend it. So I love dogwood, dagwood, it's my tree. Next thing I will show you is my staff. I can't really show the whole thing, but this is kind of it. It is 6 foot long and is rattan, and all staves should typically be higher than your head, at least 2 or 3 inches above your head. So I'm 5'7", and I bought a 6 foot, so it's a couple inches above my head. Staves are basically used the same way as wands. They're used to direct energies the same way. Mine is made of rattan, which is for luck and change because of its flexibility. Wands can also be different material. They can also be handmade. They can be metal, wooden. Some are actually, I've actually seen some that are made out of full stone, which is pretty impressive. But they're basically used the same way. Normally, they're used for a point of status. Usually the high priest or the high priestess will have a staff instead of a wand, and they represent maybe some kind of form or higher form of wisdom or intellect or title, basically. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you don't want to do that, if you actually want a staff and you feel like as you choose a staff over a wand, that's fine too. It just depends on what you feel. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the 5 elements, which most people neglect that there is actually a 5th element and 4th from the 4 basic ones, which are earth, air, fire, and water. And people forget about spirit or void, yin and yang, the central energy force, basically. First I'll show you what my representation of the element of earth would be. This is quartz crystal. You can't really see it too well in the light. It's kind of bad lighting, but it's a quartz crystal and it represents Earth. Earth also represents or corresponds to strength, grounding, and healing. It can also be fortification. Um, and the colors are usually green or brown, but they can be other colors, yellow, depending yellow or like different types of greens. And it just depends on the person. Depends on what you have around. It depends on what you want to work with. This is typically set in the north side of the circle in the Wiccan tradition and most other cultural traditions. It's depicted in the north. Next element that I will show you is going to be air. So, this is kind of my representation of what air is, and it's sage that I hand wrapped and picked myself. Basically, the air element can be any type of incense, which I've seen use powdered incense, stick incense, actual herbs used. I've seen actually water or oil used when you like the oil burners that have a candle at the bottom, and then at the top it has a bowl where it heats the water, and then the oils are also in the water, and it releases a scent. That can also be an air element. Air represents knowledge and wisdom, and the colors are usually yellow and white. Is usually set in the east side of the circle in the Wiccan tradition, and most other cultures that I've studied have also depicted it also on the east side. The next representation is fire, which of course is a candle, or anything that burns, really. And that's kind of my candle holder. And it just kind of, anything that really burns, basically. Fire, you can have a fire pit for your element of fire when you're calling quarters. Fire's representation is passion, courage, and love. Sometimes less, depending on you. The colors are usually red and orange, representing, of course, fire, which is red and orange, and sometimes blue. I mean, you got those like butane lighters, whatever. It's usually set in the south side of the circle in most Wiccan traditions and other traditions that I've studied. Let's see. My next representation is water. And I chose this is not blood, it is, it's juice. It's a berry juice. And sometimes it can be filled like that. And this is a chalice. This is traditionally called a chalice in the Wiccan tradition or the pagan tradition. And it can be filled with water and sometimes wine or juice to represent the blood of the goddess and the god. Let's see. This usually represents change, change, flow, and purification. The colors are mostly blue. That's pretty much, the color of water. Blue. Well, actually, it's kind of clear, but just go with it. So, the next element I will show you is spirit. And this is just one of the many, 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 many different representations of what spirit can be. This is my representation of spirit, though. This is the pentacle got at a fair that I went to once. Basically, your spirit element can represent anything regarding spirit, psychic energies, yin and yang, god and goddess. The void, nothingness, everything. It's just a compilation of all of everything, but it's still nothing at the same time, if that makes any sense. The colors are typically purple, black and white, or black and white, but can be pretty much any color that you would depict spirit to be. This is usually set in the very middle of the circle when you're doing rituals or magic. Thank you. So the next thing that I'm going to bring up is homosexuality and paganism, gays and pagans. This is an issue that I think is not typically brought up enough, because a lot of people and a lot of pagans ask the question, and ask the question of, well, I'm gay, and what does that mean in paganism? So I think this is an issue that a lot of books don't talk about, a lot of people don't talk about, because for some people it's not really a big deal, and that's totally cool. I love that. That's an awesome principle to go by. I myself am gay, and some people, through my personal experience, have accepted that as pagans, and some people have been very aggressive as to not accept that as pagans. When you're both gay and pagan, it can sometimes be double the trouble. I've gotten into a couple situations where I've been invited to churches, not to be like Christian bashing or anything, because I have a whole bunch of Christian friends that are awesome and great and everything, so I'm not Christian bashing or anything, but I did get invited to a church once, and I went there, and I presented myself as both gay and pagan, and they weren't very appreciative of that. So sometimes it can mean double the trouble. What I've come across a lot of the times is some gay men who are also pagan believe that they have more of a goddess spirit than a god spirit, and I kind of also used to think that, because it seemed like the most logical explanation of anything. But I watched a show recently called Madhouse, if any of you have seen that. And it has this really kind of famous witch-wiccan person who, her name is Fiona Apple, or not Fiona Apple, wrong person, Fiona Horn. And I watched her on the show do a type of goddess ritual with all the other people in the house. And what it basically was they got into, all the women got into a circle and kind of did a ritual on womanhood and stuff like that. And some men came over, and she said something. She said, well, something that kind of buzzed in my head, like, well, if you're a man and you're coming into this circle, then you have to be willing to worship us as goddesses. And I thought, well, how would that ritual kind of go for me? And I thought, well, I'm still male, so I, would think that, the god would still be, my main figure, but, or male energy or whatever. So I thought, well, maybe I would be kind of, like a god energy and a god ritual, but it would be in the same context. And so I thought it was a different energy entirely. So I think that gay energy is probably or gay paganism is just a different paganism in general. So I have 10 seconds. So thank you for watching, and please comment and I'll take any of your